Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Doctor and my fellow friends. Today I would like to present about the Silverbird Company, and we are from Group 5. This is our group member, which is Nurul Hazirah binti Kamarul Zaman with matric number 273432, Chin Wei Wei 271639, Muhammad Zulfahmi binti Muhammad Tormizi 272662, Pang Hui Ki 270164, and Asfira binti John 272974. This is the content, which is first, introduction of company; second, chronology of fraud; third, the impact; fourth, the conviction; fifth, the involvement and rules of auditor in the case; sixth, ethical issue; and lastly, conclusion. Before I start to my part, let me introduce myself. My name is Nurul Hazirah binti Kamarul Zaman with matric number 273432. So I will present about the introduction of the company and also the product of the company. Now, let me talk about the company, which is on 5 October 1993, Silverbird was known as Madeline Bakery Cafe Sdn Bhd MBC. It's a private limited company in Malaysia under the Companies Act 1965. On 21 August 1998, Silverbird was renamed as Silverbird Group Sdn Bhd, and it turned into a public corporation on 3 March 1999. Silverbird is a holding company that has subsidiaries that are primarily active in the bread business. Now, the Silverbird Group is known as Hi-Five Conglomerate Berhad. Next, the company is divided into two segments, which is consumer food manufacture and distribution, and second, the telecommunication product distribution. They had 30 subsidiaries including Stenson Bakeries Sdn Bhd, Bumek Bread, Standard Confectionery Sdn Bhd, Bumek Frozen and Daily Fresh or Chef's Table Bakery Staff, Stenson Marketing Sdn Bhd, who sell and distribute bakery staff and telecommunication product, Silverbird Food Pte Ltd, who sell and distribute bakery staff, and lastly, Silverbird Internet, who sells and distribute. Now, I will present about the chronology of the fraud. Silverbird Group Berhad had a few scandals involved, according to the article in 2020. The scandal that they had is fictitious sales and false document. Silverbird Group Company has already been involved in this scandal since 2010 until 2020. They made a fraud on the subsidiaries, investors, and also bankers. On 2010 until 2011, the former Silverbird Group Sdn Bhd Managing Director Dato' Jackson Tan Han Kok and its former Chief Executive Officer Derek Chin Siew Cheong were accused of furnishing the false statement that contained 8 accounts that were unaudited in a quarterly financial amount to the Bursa Malaysia. On 2012, Silverbird got a suit from Asia Food Link Sdn Bhd because Dato' Jackson Tan Han Kok and Derek Chin Siew Cheong had been charged due to make fictitious sale of sweetened creamer amounting to RM44.287 million to Stenson Marketing, and that they are entitled to say RM44.118 million to them. However, they also are involved in breach of duties owed to the three companies, which are Asia Food, which is Triremis M, Triremis Asia, and Bill Davis of Associates Sdn Bhd. They allegedly made fictitious sale amounting to the RM 25.8 million. On February 2013, the company made a shock announcement about the money amounting 112 million ringgit in their finance, which later turned to 297 ringgit millions. On June 2020, Dato Jackson Tan Han Kok and Derek Chin Xiao Cheong were released due to the execute of all 134 cheating and forged documents to Malayan Banking Berhad Maybank. They are also involved in forged documents to cheat Maybank of about 67.4 million ringgit. The document refer to the amount 67.4 million ringgit that was alleged that they made invoice with Stanson Marketing and Koperasi Permodalan Felda Pariti. The former chief executive of Silverbird and another who is the ex-director of Koperasi Permodalan Felda were charged because they were involved in a embezzlement contract that involved Koperasi Permodalan Felda. They are involved in the logistics of the Felda program. This happened on December 2015.
Good day everyone, my name is Jin Wen Wei, metric number 271639. Now I'm going to share about the impacts of the fraud. The surface of financial inequalities cause different impacts. First is about the impacts to the companies. The group's liabilities has been questioned by the shareholder during the AGM in 2013, which is the second AGM after the surface of the fraud. They question if their support is still reasonable in this situation. Although the chairperson reassurance to the shareholder regarding that the business will not going down, in 2014 the group was delisted from Bursa Malaysia. Besides, they also request to vacate the headquarter premise that located in Shah Alam by 17 June 2016, as they received the court order from Amanah Raya Real Estate Investment Trust. Next is about the impacts to the investor. One of the major investors of the group is Lembagan Tabungan Haji. They purchased 98 million ringgit Malaysia for 90.438 million of share. When the scandal was discovered, they start to reduce their share from 21.9% to 5.8%. Until 2014, they ex and sold all the share that they hold. During the time, the share value of the group plummeted to between 7 cents and 8 cents. Other than that, Lembagan Tabungan Haji also telling that they did not receive any revenue generated from the nearly 100 million ringgit Malaysia that they invest in this business. Lastly, is about the impacts to the employees. When the scandal was discovered, the first attack is about the group's senior management. The chairman, Dr. Tan Kuan Po, relieved the group managing director, executive director, and also the general manager of accounts and finance. Besides, on 22nd June 2016, before Raya, the workers in High Five Marketing and Distribution in Shah Alam received the 24 hours termination. This caused problems to the workers, especially the workers going to celebrate Raya. Not only that, there also a lack of workers telling that the companies was not paying 8 to 12 months EPF for service employees. That's all from my parts. Now I will pass it to my members to continue for the presentation. Thank you.
Hello and Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Syami Muhammad Talmizi. My metric number is 272662. So today we're going to talk about the conviction of the Silverbird Group Berhad. The former director of the Silverbird Group Berhad, Dato Jackson Tan Han Kok and Derek Chin Xiu Cheong were charged by the Security Commission. There were 7 and 8 counts were charged respectively by Commission Malaysian under the Section 369B of the Capital Market and Service Act 2007. After Commission Malaysian took action in 4 statement, they will investigate on 8 unedited quarterly report during the financial period. The former top leader of Silverbird Group Berhad also may have been cleared by the Court of Appeal COA. Until June 2020, 134 cases of deceptive and use of manufacturing record to swine Maybank Berhad, closely to RM 67.4 million. On 9th December of the same year, Hasbullah Adam, the Session judge dismissed their application at the adjudication is lack of bidding to his court. He also evidenced that there will be 5 arrangement witness planning to affirm during the trial in resuming on 16 December 2031.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Pang Hui Ki, metric number 270164. Crowe Horwath is an external auditor for Silverbird when the case surfaced. They provide experienced opinions on the authenticity of the company's financial statement. They also investigate errors and fraud in financial statement, audit operation, report investigation result, and provide suggestions to Silverbird. However, in this case, it refused to provide a basis for an audit opinion for the bread manufacturer's financial report for the year end October 31st, 2011. Audex and Focus Internal Audit Solutions are internal auditors to Silverbird when the case surfaced. They help to design the company's organizational system and help to formulate specific risk management policies. However, in this case, they were blamed for failing to assess the existence of accounting irregularities and fraud, which result in fraud not being discovered and caused great loss and reputation to Silverbird.
Okay, I will continue the presentation. My name is Aspera John. My metric number is 272974. For the introduction, the word ethics is derived from the Greek word ethos, which represents character. Subsequently, ethics is about decision. It implies how people act to settle on the best decision and produce a good attitude. Moreover, ethics alludes to an arrangement of moral standard that is a feeling of which one is right and wrong, and goodness and badness of deeds and their purpose and outcomes. Those ethical actions require a basis to guarantee decision-making ability. For accounting and finance professionals, it is utterly vital for them to be ethical in the performance because of the nature of their job scope. Auditors are frequently faced with ethical dilemmas in their expert vocation that is cover various ethical issues, including incorporate the auditor's aptitude, matter of clandestinity, conflict of interest, exaggerating performance and valuation, partaking in deceitful activities, non-disclosure and withholding of information from auditors and other stakeholders, and settling on a decision without decent information. The auditing scandals have been the beginning stage of interrogating the auditors' ethics behavior, influencing their credibility. As a result, the trust the public put in the precision of administration given by auditors was significantly impeded. Next is Code of Ethics. A code of ethics is a completization of the values and principles which ought to guide the daily work of auditors. So, the first one is integrity. Integrity is the fundamental belief of a code of ethics. Auditors have an obligation to high standard of ethical behavior throughout their work in their connection, whether it be personal or with the staff of audited entities. In this case, the auditors does not practice integrity, whereby Datuk Jackson Tan Han Kok, Ching Xiao Cheong, and Lai Po Mei, as the key principal executive, has implicated in an announcement to Bursa Malaysia that Audex Governance Sendirian Berhad, the internal auditors, and their external auditors focus internal audit solution for breach their obligation and carelessness and are seeking damage. As a trusted auditors, Audex and FIRES should show a positive attitude and be proactive in the exercise of their job, as well as keep up irreproachable standards of proficient performance, settle on choice with the public interest at the top of the priority list, and apply outright genuineness in completing work. Second is professional competence and due care. Auditors have an obligation to behave in a professional way, consistently, and to apply high professional standards in completing their work to empower them to perform their work competently and with unprejudiced nature. Crowe Horwath, AGSB, and FIAS as the Silverbird external auditors and internal auditors respectively claim carelessness and breach of duty of care, as well as their duties and responsibilities to Silverbird for inability to identify or recognize the financial abnormalities. Despite this fact, auditors should know and follow pertinent auditing, accounting, and financial management standard, policies, procedure, and practice. To sum it up, Crowe Howard, AGSB, and FIAS supposedly maintain professional expertise and essential qualities at the level required to guarantee that clients or employers get equipped by expert service and act perseveringly as per applicable technical and professional standard while offering professional assistance. In conclusion, a company should never contradict the rules and regulation when leading its business. Gaining benefits from immoral actions or activities would make an organization fall generally hard soon. In fact, it will cause the auditor's integrity and morality to be questioned by users of audit services due to the misbehavior. It is difficult for a company to revamp its image and notoriety after something turned out badly in its financials like Silverbird. Frankly, people all around the world appear to be losing trust in business and legislative issues. The expansion of corruption and the consistent ruin of standards and qualities have brought about the dire requirement for ethics to be incorporated in corporate practice. In short, auditors should know and follow the code of ethics in doing the auditing with integrity, objectivity, professional competence and care, confidential and professional behavior. On top of that, auditors especially should not attempt work they are not equipped to perform. In particular, auditors ought to guarantee that such guidance or administration do exclude the executive obligation or powers, which should remain solidly with the administration of the evaluated substance. That's all from us. Thank you.